Hey, good morning, everybody. My name's Terry, and I'm an ad.
Jerry.
Good morning. You got me? Can you hear me? Loud and clear. Beautiful. First and foremost, I want to say thank you for everybody for putting on this event. Fortunately for me, I've been pressed into work. I have no internet access to where I'm at, so I'm coming to you by phone. Like I said, I want to thank everybody for putting this all together. It takes a lot of work, and I'd like to thank Bill. Bill's been very instrumental into my growth, in my reintegration back into the community. He was actually the one to pick me up at the gate on March 23rd. But let me go back. Let me briefly give you a quick history of what it used to be like. What happened when I got into Narcotics Anonymous, and what it's like now. As a kid growing up, I came from a pretty dysfunctional family. Being the youngest out of 3 kids, I always had to fight for time, for attention. And the only way I could seem to get it was at family reunions, when I was allowed to drink beer. And coming from an Irish, Italian, and English family, that's all I need to be said. Heavy drinkers, and they love to party. And so for attention seeking, I used to start, it was okay for me to drink beer, and they thought it was kind of funny. Little did they know that later on I became dependent on that alcohol. When my parents weren't home, I'd steal my dad's beers and I'd drink them, and my brothers would tell on me. And anyhow, to get up to when I got up into age 9 or 10, my brothers were experimenting with harder drugs, and on a couple of events, I was accosted by my brother's older friends who got me loaded on dope, and I don't have no recollection of this, but my mother seemed to figure out what was going on, and she actually blamed my father for it, and she didn't think my brothers and their friends were capable of doing anything like that to me. Well, come to find out that my parents ended up getting a divorce because my mom was just so adamant that my father was the one that was doing all this. And she still doesn't know to this day. I haven't told her the truth about what was going on because I don't want my mom to think that all of her kids were messed up. So anyhow, so kind of fast forward a little bit, I blame myself for the divorce, and so that basically accelerated my drug use. And by the time I got up to, I was doing the in and out plan. Actually, my first arrest in 1978, I got arrested, and it was wise for me to get out of the state for a little while because I was becoming a nuisance. And to fast forward even further, on February 15th, 1998, I was acting like a knucklehead again, and was chased by a bunch of 8 San Jose police officers, and they ended up holding me at gunpoint, and basically I'm lucky I didn't get shot and killed, so I'm very grateful for that because they had every opportunity to kill me and justify it. So for that, I'm really grateful. So I ended up getting struck out and was sentenced to 30 years to life in prison. So on February 15th, I guess that was my first aha moment. I was talking to, actually listening to Demetrius earlier, and it didn't happen all right at once. It was a process for me. My first 7 years, I lived in bitterness and resentment and denial until I came into the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous in 2006, January of 2006 in San Quentin. And I was one of the guys that sat in the back of the room and listened, took everybody's inventory, was really good at that, and really wasn't paying much attention to it. But there was somebody who was one of the individuals who was my first sponsor, who been incarcerated for 38 years, and he was walking life. He never thought that he was ever going to get out of prison, but I liked what he had, and I asked him to sponsor me, and he did sponsor me. And so after we went through the steps, my goal was to give back what was so freely given to me. So I began that that cycle of began sponsoring people. During that period of time, became in 2008, I became the chairperson for Narcotics Anonymous, representing San Quentin, and I kept that job. I guess I was voted in for that job by all my peers all the way until I paroled on March 23rd. During that course of that period of time, I crossed some boundaries of prison politics. I was one of the first guys. Actually, I was the first man to actually sponsor people of any race, gender, out on the yard, and it didn't matter what color, what race you were, and I just did it right out in the open. I got a lot of dirty looks from people, but after a couple of years of doing this, these people who were giving me the dirty looks commended me for my courage and giving back what was so freely given to me. So, kind of fast forward a little bit. I've had the pleasure of honor and privilege of sponsoring over 53 lifers who went to the board, had to go in front of the board, and each and every one of them were found suitable for parole, and each one of them still to this day are out living productive lives. And it makes me, they talk about the gifts that the program has to offer. The people that, the newcomers and the people that want to change their life are the gifts of this program. I've had nothing but, it brings tears to my eyes when I think about it, because I never had that. I didn't have the opportunity when I was growing up. And so my goal was to educate myself while I was at San Quentin. I did. I became certified as a brother's keeper, which is a crisis intervention, suicide crisis intervention peer counselor. I became certified in hospice care, which I was just listening to the woman speaking. I'm actually blessed now to be living with my mother, who is 88 years old, and taking care of her because she took care of me and put up with me for so many years of my life. So to fast forward, we get back up to on November 23rd, I went up for a parole suitability hearing and was found suitable for parole on November 23rd of this past year. And I was released on March 23rd of this year. I was released into a rehabilitation program, but that was okay, my freedom. It was freedom. It was a good place for me because the COVID had just started up and I needed to slowly transition back into society after being incarcerated for 22 plus years. It was a blessing for me to get out and to have that, my partner, Bill. Bill, I love you. He's been very supportive, very instrumental in helping me transition back into society. I'm blessed to be able to go out with him on my days off when I'm not working and go out and volunteer work for Hunger at Homes and Loaves and Fishes, and to the Mariposa House up off of Monterey there, to the Women's Rehab Center to deliver food to these people. I still sponsor guys behind the wall, and I picked up a few guys who I sponsored outside in the program where I'm at. I'll never forget where I came from. I'm blessed today. I've got 2 jobs. They talk about what they taught me in prison is when you get out, it's the ABCs. It's first, it's any job, to a better job, to a career job. And so right now, I took any job at first, and now I'm at a better job, and my career job should be coming up very shortly. But there's an abundance of work for me, and I'm just very blessed to have great support group, people in my life today. I'll never forget all the people at San Quentin, Mike, DJ, Sammy, Ray, everybody who's come in, like I said, DJ, there's so many people that I can, Victoria, Natasha, I mean, the list just goes on and on and on, and Mike McQuilkin and Mike McHugh. there's just so many people that have been instrumental in my recovery, and you know, and to be a beacon of hope. And you know, like I said, we used to. It's been said as I used to be a hopeless dope fiend, and now I'm a dopeless hope fiend. I try to inspire people with my story of saying that if I can do it, anybody can do it. I try to, you know, I work with the people I work with now. It's just the way I was taught. I try to work and find people's strengths rather than sit there and try to be critical and take someone's inventory. I try to find their strengths. If they're feeling down, I try to pick them up and encourage them with some encouraging words. You know, like I said, but I owe everything to this program of Narcotics Anonymous. I used to pay to try to get clean. I put myself into a program, but like it was said before, it wasn't going to happen until I decided it was time for me to hang it up. I've been very blessed. I'm Hep C free, STD free. I gave up cigarettes 12 years ago. So yeah, a little over 12 years ago. My health is pretty good for my age, for 61. I've got a great support group, and I'm going to stay focused into Narcotics Anonymous because if it wasn't for, like I said, because that's actually what took me down last time. Before my last arrest, I got myself clean. I was clean for a couple of years, but then I forgot where I came from. I started to turn into a workaholic and forgot going to my meetings, and it was a downfall for me. It was a humbling experience. Let's just put it that way. But I've been blessed today. I've been blessed with to be surrounded with so many good people in my life. My mother. You know, I lost my father while I was incarcerated in 2014, but I had the opportunity to at least say what I needed to say to him before it was, you know, before he left on and transitioned into his next life. But what was really important when I transitioned out of and got out of the place where I was at the rehab center, I got out in 45 or 75 days out of a 90-day, and then they put me into a transition home, and then my parole agent, by the grace of God, called me up 6 weeks early and asked if I wanted an extension or I wanted out of the program where I was in. And I told him, I said, well, I haven't had that talk with my mother yet to see if, you know, because I'd been incarcerated. I only had like a month and a half with her of actual freedom to be able to run around and do what I wanted. And so he said, try to talk to her and see what happens. Otherwise, I'm going to have to send you back up to Oakland or San Francisco if you're going to file for an extension. So immediately I went over and I spoke with my mother, and my mother said that she doesn't want me going up there. And so we made a proposition and an agreement. And so, you know, something that that was my long-term goal has actually already happened. So my parole agent made it happen, and I've been living with my mother for a little over a month now. And I think it's rejuvenated both of us. To have a relationship with your mother for the first time in 61 years. It's amazing. I'm grateful for it. Sorry, I'm just a little choked up over it because it took that long for me to get my shit together. But the most important thing is that it's finally, I'm on the right track. I'm surrounded with good people. And it just seems like every day I wake up, I've got gratitude for just life in general, because I shouldn't be here. My life should have ended on February 15th,
1998. And with that, I think I'm going to close out a little bit early because I got started early. and I want to just, like I said, there's so many people out there that I need to give thanks to that have been very instrumental in not only my recovery, but in my reintegration back into the community, society, which I never thought that was ever going to happen. I'm going to continue to stay focused, and trust me, I have people that remind me when I'm kind of getting out of line because my phone gets ringing off the hook. So it's something that's challenging for me. I'll just end with this. It's something that's really challenging. Is the last time I was, prior to me getting incarcerated, there were pagers and Motorola flip phones. So trying to navigate myself through these phones and texting and laptops and everything, it's really embarrassing because I'm computer illiterate. But you know what? It's just like my recovery. It's a process. It's not going to happen overnight. It's a lifetime. And I can just share, like I said, I can just keep sharing my experience and try to inspire people with my experience. And if I can get through to anybody today, that's all that matters, is if I can just get through to one person today. But I'm touched by everybody in this program, and it saved my life. My name's Terry, and I'm an addict, and thank you very much.